Good morning, everybody. Chapter 2 of the Realtors course, Reps course. Topics, 9 topics. 3 types of licenses, 5 levels of licenses, some parts of the sales process, real estate team requirements, unlicensed assistance duties, acts created by the provincial government, the RESA and the REDMA, the organizations created by RESA, voluntary organizations within the real estate organization, and last is REDMA, the purpose and disclosure requirements. Okay, first topic, 3 types of licenses. Trading services, 3 types of services. Trading services, that's the license that you're going for now. As a realtor, it's called trading services, meaning buying, selling, leasing for your client and perhaps even for yourself. The other 2 types of services are called management services, management of rental property, management of strata property. With your license, which you're getting now with trading services, you are not allowed to do management of rentals and management of strata. You would have to get the other 2 licenses in order for you to do the management. Okay, in trading services, you have what you're going to do is get a realtor's license, which allows a person to do all of these activities. And basically, trading services means you're selling and buying, representing sellers and buyers. Okay, you're finding parties for the real estate, you're showing the real estate, you're negotiating the prices. All these are the activities that you will be doing as a realtor, as a rep. Okay, if you get a property management license, then you'll be doing these. If you get a strata property manager license, then you'll be doing these. Okay, so these are managing licenses. This is the license for selling and buying for your clients and for yourself. All 3 services need separate licenses. You may have more than 1 license. Okay, so the 3 types of licenses, 3 types of services, not 3 types of licenses, 3 types of services that are offered under the Real Estate Services Act are trading services, management of strata, and management of rental. You, when you get your realtor's license, are not allowed to do these 2. Okay, all 3 services need separate licenses. A person can get more than 1 license. Okay, very important for your exam, constructing is not a service under the Real Estate Services Act. Constructing is a license to construct is a separate license. It's not a service under the Real Estate Services Act. So for your exam, be careful with the word construction. Okay. With the realtor's license, you will be able to buy, sell, or lease all types of residential properties, meaning homes, rental properties, strata properties, apartments, townhouses, duplexes, and all types of commercial, industrial properties also, warehouses, and you will also be allowed to sell and buy businesses for your clients or for yourself. Okay, when you're going to get a license, you will have to go and get a police record check and supply that to the council. And you will have to make sure you have what's called good reputation, meaning you have not have any frauds or offenses against you. You have not been denied any other licenses, okay? And also you will have to write the exam and pass this exam. And after you pass this exam, then you will also do what's called the post-licensing course. After you've done both of them, you will be able to start working with a brokerage. You never are allowed to work as an independent without a brokerage. When you're working with the brokerage, you are working under the brokerage, but you are still under all the rules of the brokerage. Okay, who needs a license to sell real estate? Anyone who's going to charge any money or give any advice on real estate will need a realtor's license. Who does not need a license? If they want to sell real estate, they will need license. But who does not need a license if they're doing any dealings or any paperwork for real estate, especially if you're just going to sell your own home for sale by owner, you do not need a license. A friend can help another person sell their home, they do not need a license as long as they don't charge any fee or money. Okay, developers employees, when you see people in the pre-sale offices, they can assist buyers. They do not need a license as long as they do not do other assistance of those buyers. Okay, employees of lawyers, notaries, they do not need license, and there's a list of other agencies that do not need licenses. Office staff, okay? If secretaries, conveyancers, or owners of brokerage, if they're not going to do sale or buy of properties for other people, they do not need to be licensed. Okay, 4 levels of licenses, okay? You're going for the lowest level, which is called the rep or the realtor, but there are 3 other levels of licenses. The highest level is the brokerage, and the managing broker is a person who looks after the brokerage, and the managing broker also looks after the rep, and maybe even the associate broker. Associate broker is just a person who has the same license as a managing broker, but is an assistant and is not liable for the reps or the brokerage. The brokerage must be a partnership or a corporation. Okay. All other licenses can be a person. A person can have all possible combinations of licenses also. So let's do the first one, levels of licenses. There's 4: brokerage, managing broker, associate broker, which is an assistant, and you as a rep, realtor, whatever you want, or a licensee, called also a licensee. 3 different names for the realtor: rep, realtor, and licensee. It's the lowest license, but the highest license is the brokerage. Brokerage is which the Century 21s, the Remax, the ones that you work for. You work for a brokerage. As a rep, you will be representing a brokerage, okay? And the brokerage must be a partnership or a corporation. The brokerage, in order to get their license, must file financial statements of corporation with the council to get their license, and they must file all records with the real estate council. The brokerage is the organization that pays the reps. All the money for your commission comes into the brokerage, and the brokerage writes you a check. Okay, and the brokerage appoints a managing broker to represent the brokerage. Every brokerage must have a managing broker. If the managing broker loses their license, the brokerage cannot operate. And if the managing broker loses his license, the reps cannot operate either. A brokerage may not promise to offer its services unless full disclosure is made about all the facts to the buyers and the sellers. Okay? Unless all agreements are signed, that's when the brokerage can start offering any services. Okay, managing broker. Managing broker is a person appointed by the brokerage, hired by the brokerage to represent the brokerage for all the brokerage purposes. He must be 19 years old. He must have 2 years of experience as a rep in the past 5 years. So memorize these 2 numbers. 2 years of experience in the past 5 years. For the exam, they'll switch these numbers around. Sometimes they'll say 3 years, or they'll say in the past 10 years. You have to know this number, okay? They have to, just like you, they have to pass managing brokers exam that's given by the Sauder School of Business. They do not have to be Canadian citizen. They are totally responsible for the brokerage, and they're totally responsible for the supervision of the realtors and the associate broker. If they lose their license, if they do not do a good job of supervision, they may lose their license. The broker may lose their license, managing broker. Okay, managing broker is what's called vicariously responsible, liable for the reps. That means Whatever the reps do, the manager is also responsible. Okay, manager could also be disciplined or investigated by the council without any approvals of any courts or at any time they can do investigation. Okay, an associate broker, we're at number 3 now. Associate broker has the same license as a managing broker, but he's an assistant and he is not responsible in any way for the brokerage or for the reps. Last one is you are applying or you are trying to get what's called a realtor's license. Another name for it is a representative. You are a representative of the brokerage. Okay, very important for you to understand that you represent the brokerage. That means everything is owned by the brokerage. Your contracts that you write are owned by the brokerage. Your clients that you have are also belong to the brokerage. Okay, so you is the person getting the license is going to get what's called the lowest entry-level license. You must be 19 years old, and in this one, very important, it's not 2 years of experience. It's renewal of your license happens every 2 years. Mortgage managing brokers licenses also get renewed, but you're not applying for the managing broker's license now. You're applying to get representative license. That's why you need to know that the renewal happens every 2 years. For the managing broker, what you need to know for your exam is they need 2 years of experience in the last 5 years. Very important that you can only work, first of all, you must work for a brokerage. You cannot work independently, and you must work only for one brokerage. Okay. Another important part is whichever service, remember there are 3 services, trading services, and the other 2 are managed strata and managed rental property. If you want to offer all 3 of them or 2 of them, your license, yes, you're allowed to get the licenses, but you can only work under a brokerage that has the same licenses. If the managing broker and the brokerage only have one license, which maybe is a trading services, and you have more than one license, then you're only going to be able to do one service. You can do as many services as you like, but your managing broker and your brokerage must have the same licenses licensed services in order for you to offer the same services. Okay, in terms of advertising, very, very strict rules. We'll talk about rules for advertising when you start listing and then afterwards advertise a listing. Very strict rules for that. Okay, you have to pass this exam, and then you have post licensing course. Once you finish both of these things, then you're allowed to work. You're not allowed to work immediately after passing the licensing exam, which is going to be the 100 multiple choice exam questions offered by Sauder School of Business. Okay, must be employed by a real estate brokerage. We already talked about that. Okay, so cannot sell houses right away after you're done with your licensing exam. That's again on your exam. There's questions which say, can you start immediately after passing this exam? No, you also have to do post-licensing course. Okay, cannot be registered independently, meaning you cannot work without a brokerage. You have to work under a brokerage. Okay, cannot work if the managing broker or the brokerage loses their license, then you will be inoperative. You will not lose your license because the managing broker and the brokerage lost their license, but you may be able to go to a different brokerage and start working. Okay, if you're buying or selling for yourself, you're allowed to, but there are going to be a lot of problems or difficulties with your insurances and errors and omissions, but you are allowed to buy for yourself or sell your own property or for a company that you're associated with. But you must disclose in writing and, very important, before, which means prior to making any contracts with the sellers or buyers that you are a realtor, that you are, and the purpose of buying or selling. If you're buying, let's say, property, and you have to disclose the reason and what you'll be doing with the property. Maybe you're going to sell it afterwards. As long as you disclose, it's fine. Maybe you're going to renovate and sell. Maybe you're going to renovate and keep. Maybe you're going to keep it as a rental property. Whatever the purpose is, must be disclosed to the seller if you are buying for yourself. And you will be required to tell how much commission you'll be making, and obviously the names of the buyers and the sellers must be disclosed. Rules regarding advertising. When you get a listing or anything else about yourself that you want to, your properties that you want to advertise, very important that the brokerage's name must be displayed in a readable, easily readable. Your name must be there. You must not make any false statements in the advertising. Okay, quickly, must be employed by a brokerage, at least or only one brokerage. You can only work for one brokerage, and you must work for a brokerage. All the contracts are the ownership of the brokerage that you work for. And you can only offer the service. Remember, there are 3 types of services, and most of you are just going for the trading services. So that means you have to work for a brokerage that has a license to do trading services, and a managing broker that has a license to as a trading services. Okay, you cannot work independently, and you will not be able to work if your managing broker loses their license. You will not lose your license, but you're not allowed to work. Commission, any amount, any percentage, any amounts you can charge. The brokerage will not tell you how much you can charge. Sellers, your clients will not tell you how much. It's up to you as to how much you want to charge. Okay, but all your commissions come through the brokerage. Any bonus or any gift that a client wants to give you must be given to you through the brokerage. There are no secrets or bonuses. You're allowed bonuses, but they must come through the brokerage. Okay, for your exam, a different type of commission that you're not allowed, and that is called net. Net is where you take a listing for, let's say, 120,000, example of a net, and you agree, and the seller agrees with you, that whatever extra amount that you sell this house for is going to be the commission. That is illegal under the Real Estate Act. Okay, so let's say you sell the house for 135 and you list it for 120, and now you're saying, yes, my commission is $15,000. That method of writing the commission is illegal. Are you allowed to charge $15,000 on a deal? Yes, you are. You can say I want $15,000, but you cannot say I want the extra amount from the sale of 120. Anything over 120,000 is going to be my commission, is illegal. Any percentage is allowed, any amount is allowed, but net is not allowed. Okay, let's take a look at here. Let's say the brokerage loses their license. Okay, then a managing broker, his license is still good, but the people, the associate brokers and the reps, they will not be able to sell houses because the brokerage has lost their license. The managing broker has not lost his license, but he's inoperative because the brokerage is at a standstill. Okay, if the managing broker loses his license, then all 3 of the other organizations will be inoperative. They cannot do any work. If the associate broker loses his license, all 3 other organizations are still able to perform their duties, perform the work. Okay? If the rep loses his license, all other 3 are still allowed to do their work. Okay, some of the sales procedures. when you start working, your managing broker and your brokerage will teach you all the steps of sales. But for your examination, quickly, we're just going to go through a few topics in when you get a listing. First thing you must do is disclose your representation to your client. Then you get the listing contract. Then you start advertising. Then you start dealing with parties and bringing in buyers and sellers. Then maybe you write up a contract of purchase and sale because maybe one of the parties wants to buy your listing, or then maybe the offer gets accepted, and then you pick up the deposit from the buyer. And then the last step is, once everybody's happy, the deposit is given by the buyer, then you have to fill out a sheet called a transaction or trade record sheet. In that sheet, you provide all the information to your brokerage regarding the deal that you finished up, and then completion will happen through the notaries and lawyers. Okay, for your examination, very important, if you get an accepted offer, or if the offer gets accepted, both the buyer and the seller has signed the contract of purchase, okay, and the agreement is the price has been agreed, everybody signed, the buyers signed, sellers signed. Now, a copy of this must immediately go to all the buyers, go to all the sellers. If there's more than one buyer and more than one seller, a separate copy must be provided to them, and both